Hi, Spoonie community, and welcome to my video series on using journaling to live your best life with chronic illness. Today's video is going to be on using coloring pages in a journal to reduce your stress and bring some sense of calm and peace into your life. And it's also a great tool to use alongside your word of the year. And we'll go into that in a minute. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tori. I'm a disabled artist and poet, and I create content to help spoonies like me. So let's get into our video today. Today I have some acrylic paint pens. I love these kind of pens because in journals, they don't bleed through to the other side. There are other types of pens and markers available that have the same effect, but these are my favorites because sometimes I also use these in some of my paintings to create fine lines and details. We're also using my new journal that was published this year. This is me, More Than a Journal for Those with Chronic Illness. And I have turned the book to one of the pages of the coloring drawings that are in there. So I'm going to get ahead and move the camera so you can see above me and get my perspective. So now, because it's close to Valentine's Day right now, which is one of my favorite times of the year, I'm going to stick to pinks, purple, and cream type of color palette for my coloring page, but you can color yours however you want to. One of the things that I find to be the most peaceful with coloring pages in a journal is making them your own and doodling in them, because I find that to be so relaxing. So let's go ahead and start with a light pink marker. And these have two tips. So one tip is a fine tip. Show you what that looks like. And the other tip is a paintbrush tip. So we're going to do the paintbrush tip. And while I am doing this part of the journal, I really want to reflect back on like where my thoughts have been in the last few days or weeks and how that has been affecting my health and well-being. So what I'm going to do is just start randomly making some shapes on this page. And when you're doing this, if you're not really thinking about anything, it can be very relaxing. I like to challenge myself while I'm doing this to try and not think about anything and just kind of let things go and let my imagination go where it wants to go. But then if you are using this time as a reflective time for you, one of the questions you might want to ask yourself is, how have I been feeling over the past few days or over the past week? And allow those feelings to kind of seep onto the page and see what those feelings might end up looking like as you are going through your doodling on the page. Sometimes when I find that I have really been focusing on the same type of maybe intrusive thoughts or ruminating about certain things that have happened, the doodles end up being more in a circular motion. And that's kind of representative of like the thoughts circling around and circling back and circling back. And so you'll see a few of those throughout my page. And then sometimes I will be reflecting on how I've been planning ahead and what that planning might look like, or what my year might look like, or some future events that might be coming up. And then those kind of take the shape of these long figures. So as you are doing your doodling on your page and thinking about that, you might want to notice when you're having certain thoughts or reflecting on certain things, how that might end up looking on your page. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on this bottom section as well. And I'm going to do that in a different color. And I think for me, this color represents a couple of things. It could represent like the softness of the carpet beneath my feet, reflecting this drawing. Or it could be the earth and just kind of representing some of the grounding that I might need right now, being connected to Mother Nature, whatever it is that you're kind of thinking about and needing that to be. So this is kind of what some of my doodling might look like for this particular type of page in my journal. Sometimes a beneficial thing when you are using your journal is to take a certain emotion or a certain thought. So let's say you've recently gone through a difficult situation with a family member or a friend or a stranger. What you want to do is think about a particular thought and put that thought down on paper. And then maybe it was anger, maybe they made you angry. And you want to just let all that anger come through your body, through the marker, the pen, and onto the page. And you are just releasing those emotions. It's not particularly wonderful color. You can't really see that one. Let's try this one. So it's easier to see on the page. Let's say perhaps you don't understand why you had a certain response to that person, and you're putting your confusion down on the page. So just kind of let that confusion flow through you and on to the page. So the whole point of this exercise is to process your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, get them on the page, or just try not to think about anything and use it as a time of escape and finding peace, finding calm, finding relaxation. And so there's several ways that you could use coloring pages in journals or just in any type of coloring book that you may have to help you find a place of calm and relaxation. Let your mind relax and step into your body and away from your thoughts.
So what right now what I'm doing is coloring in the sofa in this background, and any part that you don't want to have dark color. So like if you want there to be a highlight in that particular part, the light's shining right there, then you just don't color in that part and you're left with a highlight. Or you could use a lighter color in that section as well. Now, what I really like about these acrylic markers is they blend in with each other so well. So it's not like the typical markers where you see all of the lines every move that you make with the marker. So these acrylic pen markers do a much better job of blending. Not that that matters, because whenever you're doing something in a journal like this, you just want to have fun or relax. And it doesn't really matter if it's going to look pretty or perfect. In fact, you probably don't want it to look perfect because it's more about processing your emotions and being present than it is about making something look beautiful. But if you're artistic and you want it to, be something pretty that you can look at later on, then these markers might come in handy and you might find that useful. Another thing that I like about these markers is if you're trying to stay in the lines and you make a mistake, like you can cover up your mistake. Like Bob Ross says, oh, it's just a happy accident. We're just going to do something else. Move the line out a little bit, add a little detail that wasn't there before. It's okay. And the darker you push, the darker the pigment, and the lighter you push on the marker, the lighter the pigment. And you can always go back in with a black marker afterwards to redo some of these details, these little fine lines of the eyes, the nose. You can use crayons, colored pencils, whatever it is. You can color in the background um, with a solid color. I find that if you're going to do that, if you're going to like color in the background, colors solid, it's best to do that type of coloring when you're experiencing deep and strong emotions, because then you can push down hard. It's like, I'm going to get out all that anger, or I'm going to get out all of that sadness, and I'm going to process those emotions on this page. So when you have deep and intense emotions, that's the best time to do solid type of coloring, because that helps you get those on the page. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy coloring some of the other coloring pages included in the journal. And if you haven't gotten your copy yet, I will leave a link in the description below where you can get your copy of this journal. Be sure to watch the other videos in this series where I'm talking about using some of the other pages, the bingos, the trackers, the goal setting. So I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for joining me.